You're now watching This AFC South Show, brought to you by Curtis Podcast Network, hosted by Curtis Brown, Blake Bellamy, Isaiah Michelle, and Jeff Steckel. Hello, everybody, and welcome to This AFC South Show number 67. As you can see, Blake is not with us today, but I'm your host, Curtis Brown, and with me today is Isaiah Michelle and Jeff Steckel. Obviously, Isaiah is a Jags fan, Jeff is a Colts fan, and I'm a Texans fan. Blake, being our resident Titans fan, is not here, but good news, I was at the game, in fact, carrying around a sign promoting the show like a boss, wore the shirt, got a subscriber. What's up, Jonathan?
What's good, Jonathan?
What's good? So, I'll be able to give a good perspective on the Colts-Titans game after being at a really good spot in that game. Here's the picture. So, let's go ahead and get into the Giants and the Jaguars game. First, before we dive head first into this, it seemed like every AFC South team had a really good shot to win the day until like late in the game. And it was just a heartbreaking week for three of the four teams. So, and ironically, we're the entirety of the teams represented right now. So, Isaiah, take it away.
So I didn't get to watch the game. Of course, when you're a fan of the team and you're talking amongst other fans of the team, and there are a lot of penalties called in a game, coincidentally, the refs are playing against you. So, from what I know, there were some bad calls. I'm assuming they went both ways, though. I'm not going to sit here and say that there was bad. The refs won and then the game, whatever. We lost the game by a yard. We threw it to Christian Kirk over the middle. I mean, it was in double, triple coverage. I mean, three guys were on him when he caught the ball, basically. We lost the game by a yard. ETN continues to grow. ETN has another 100-plus yard game on the ground. Not as much in the passing game today. They did throw 43 times, which, again, is too much. But the ground game, I mean, it was working when it was working, and it wasn't when it wasn't, Still 142 yards, 6.8 average, 8.1 out of ETN. Big day for him on the ground. Again, Robinson got hurt early, which does not help whatsoever. So, goal line situations where we normally have our 225, pound, 5'9" guy in there, a little bowling ball, Spina wasn't in, Spina couldn't spin. So had to put ETN in there in some tough situations. Trevor Lawrence got a touchdown from 1 yard, his longest run of the day, 1 yard. It was just a rough day. I mean, we're sitting here and we're looking at it again. This is just one of those games where we put up the yards. I mean, 452, that's what I said earlier, 452 yards of total offense. I mean, it's a lot of offense. Yeah. Clearly, we weren't lacking in moving the ball, but we just, again, struggled in the red zone. It just seems like it's another one of those games where, we're just not quite there in terms of driving the field to win it or keeping the lead. There was a couple times, of course, where, Mr. Aggressive down south, shoot 'em up, Doug, was just trying to go for points and should have just kicked the fucking field goal, But 3 points apparently isn't worth anything unless it's a touchdown. So that's fine, though. Defense did not do great. Again, 2 weeks in a row, really like 3 or 4 weeks in a row. Ever since the Eagles game, we just can't stop anybody on the ground besides the Colts, and that's because they were down 16 running backs. So, who's going to do well down that many running backs? I mean, 236 yards on the ground, 107 of those coming from Daniel Jones on 11 carries. It was just another situation where we were overcommitted to the main character being Saquon Barkley. I mean, deep into the early fourth quarter, he had like 56 yards on 10 carries, 15 carries, something like that. We were stopping him, and then all of a sudden he just started, cutting us up. But Daniel Jones really destroyed us today. Didn't exactly cut us up through the pass. I mean, 19 for 30. It's nothing to sneeze at, 200 yards, but it's not like he was just throwing dots and throwing bombs. So, it's just another situation where the defense just wasn't there. Especially late in the game, we were up at one point 17-10 and just defense just let them come back into it. They came back, got a touchdown, kicked a field goal, kicked another field goal. ETN fumbling in the red zone definitely did not help. But I mean, it's just another situation where we're not playing a complete football, and being where we're a good team in terms of we have good talent now, but we're good. We're not great. And there's a lot of great teams out there. And we're not playing perfect games with the talent level we have currently. We have to play perfect games. And a lot of that comes on coaching. I mean, definitely hurts to not have Robinson, but our number one guy, who I think is the number one guy from here on out, of course, ETN. I mean, he's in the last 5 games, he's averaged like 6, 7, 8 plus a carry. Just feed the man. He shouldn't have 14 carries in a close game when we're up 17-10. He should have 25 or 30 carries or 20 carries if your another guy's not there. I mean, even if not, give the other guys some carries. I mean, literally just last week we had our third string running back come in and run a 60, 70, 80-yard touchdown. Freaking give him some carries, man. Hasty. Yeah, JaMychal Hasty. I don't get it, but I mean, again, it was a winnable game. We had it in the bag, and we let it up. Defense couldn't hold them. As we continue to grow in there, I mean, hopefully we're replacing Rayshon Jenkins next year, but I mean, the man on one of their big touchdowns is literally nowhere to be found. Our corner, who was like a third string corner, got burned down the sideline, and why he was on him instead of Darius Williams or Shaq Griffin or Tyson Campbell, the world may never know. But the fact that our safety was non-existent does not help. But it's just one of those things where we've got to play complete games, and we're not doing it, and we're just not at the level yet where we can have mistakes like that and let up yards and still win those. So that's really all I got for this week. Fortunately, I couldn't watch it, but I mean, looking at the box score and keeping up with it through Gamecast as best as you can when you're using Gamecast, it just wasn't a good enough game on both sides of the ball.
Yeah, I think this game kind of breaks down to, what the kind of key points have been in all of our reaction videos for the Jaguars. Run the damn ball. Just run the ball. You got a plethora of running backs who can do it, and you got a young quarterback who needs time. And what is the best way to give a quarterback time? You run the ball, you set up play action, and you trick everybody. And you make it easy throws. That's how you develop a young man. Anyway. Jeff, you got anything about the Jags game?
Yeah, I mean, yardage-wise, Trevor Lawrence, he played well. And I think actually well enough to win, but I think it's that completions versus how many completions versus how many attempts. It was only about 50%. So that's a lot of incompletions and stall-out drives, and that probably should have been running called plays. And then there was that fumble in the red zone that really, really, really hurt him. But like you said, it was a very winnable game if they just run the ball. So I'm not sure why he was dropping back 43 times in a game where they had a lead. So it just doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, the only thing that I can think of that makes sense for that is that Doug Peterson is trying to give Trevor Lawrence chances to take over a game. You know what I mean? Does that mean he's trying to give the opportunity? Yeah. And I think that's what he's trying to do is all right, kid, go out there and win this game. And
I just think he's trying to force the pass. For some reason, he can't be the coach that beats you on the ground. He has to force the pass. One thing I kind of sparked it up earlier whenever you were talking about it was, run the damn ball. But not only that, but it's just why do we have to beat him through the air? We don't have a number one wide receiver. I don't believe we have a true number one in our team. There's no player on our team that will go to another team and be the X wide receiver. Any other team in the league, nobody on the team. So why are we throwing 43 times when we don't have somebody who's going to be an X wide receiver on another team in the NFL? It doesn't make any sense.
They'll pay Kirk to be the number one.
No, we paid Kirk to come to Jacksonville because when you're a really bad team, historically, you have to pay extra. But now that all the other contracts, which first of all, that hasn't been brought up till this point. So thanks, asshole. But I would like to make it very clear. Williams from the Chargers Michael Williams, he signed a bigger contract 3 days before Christian Kirk ever signed his contract, and he is a number 2 wide receiver. So I don't want to hear shit about Christian Kirk breaking the market. Mike Williams broke the market. Thank you. And also, Christian Kirk isn't even like top 15, top paid wide receivers now. So it's not even a big deal. But he did not break the market. But again, we're a historically bad team. We gave out a lot of guaranteed money to bring people in. Those people have been playing well, but when you got dudes like Folorunso Fatukasi missing 3 games or going out of 4 games, it hurts. Those are the people you paid to come in, but that's just a whole nother story for another time. But I don't know. We got a lot to work on. We got to stop throwing 43 times without a next wide receiver. It doesn't make any sense,
Yeah. Who's so what? The Jags have Denver next?
Denver in our home stadium of London, Wembley Field. Yes.
Oh, international
Yes.
waters.
International waters. We are that's gonna be a rough one for them. We can score touchdowns, but it's not prime time, so they might be fine. So I don't fucking know. It's not prime time, so they can probably score, but is Wilson, was it a serious injury, or was it like he might be back next week injury? Do you know?
I don't know. I still think
I'll do my research. I hope so, but that defense is pretty dang good. But
yeah,
we'll see.
Well, let's go ahead and get into the Texans and the Raiders game. So I listened to most of this game on the way home from the Titans-Colts game, and then when I got home, watched the rest of the second half. So I basically turned it on when right after halftime came back, I think. Here are my general notes that I have about this game. First, Davis Mills' 300-yard passing game of the season. He got roughly 60 or 70 yards of that in garbage time. So he got the other 230 when the game was actually competitive. At a certain point, the game was 20-17 going into the fourth quarter. And they allowed the Raiders to drive down the field with Josh Jacobs, who could not be stopped by anyone short of Superman or Lou Gehrig's disease. This guy was just unbelievable. He's running through, around, and over people, and the Texans had absolutely zero answers. I wish that I could tell you that Davante Adams really lit it up today, because I really don't think he really did. He had 8 catches for 96 yards or whatever, but they're all 6-7 yard passes. He maybe had 3 first downs. So a relatively mitigated Davante Adams presence. No Waller. And then they just couldn't stop anything from running. A nosebleed, a shitty candidate for president. They couldn't do it anything. None of it. I don't know why nobody's really talking about it, but the defensive tackles and the linebackers for the Texans are so atrocious at stopping the run that I don't know why that's not a higher priority on anybody's list. Everybody's immediately we need edge rushers, we need a new quarterback. It's bruh. Today we had a very, very good offensive output. 400 yards plus of total offense, and the defense failed. Houston can't have a complete game because anytime one side of the ball is playing immaculately, the other side of the ball doesn't play complementary football. So, yeah.
We're all in the same boat here. The AFC
literally
South as a whole,
Yeah, it's like being in the canoe, the proverbial canoe that keeps springing a leak, and you keep plugging holes, and the new leaks keep springing up.
It's like the Spider-Man meme, but each one has a different crest as their symbol. We're all just looking at each other,
Oh.
The Office, where she has him look at the pictures and it's the same picture.
Yeah.
Well, if you put all 3 of them, it's the same picture.
Yeah.
Problem.
But the defense for Houston at times has been really solid. Holding Jacksonville to 6 points is incredible for considering how bad and how young our defense is.
Because we didn't run the damn ball.
Exactly. But if, like, there was before the Raiders scored their first touchdown in the second quarter, it was 10-3, I think, Houston. And Houston has not allowed but one touchdown in the last, 7 quarters, which is the weirdest thing. And then they go out and have a game like this, which is the craziest thing. So they allowed one touchdown in the second half against the Chargers, no touchdowns against the Jags, no touchdowns in the first quarter of the Raiders game. And then it all went downhill. And again, Davis Mills was having a really solid day. Dameon Pierce, 20 carries, 92 yards, 4 or 5 receptions for 25 yards. He was active. He was actively involved. And yet, with Nico Collins getting hurt and leaving the game early, Kenyon Green got hurt and left the game early at a critical moment, mind you. I'm pretty sure he got hurt, and then Davis Mills threw the pick six that really snowballed everything after the Josh Jacobs touchdown run on the prior drive. And it just didn't get any better after that. They started bringing in other people, brought in Dare Ogunbowale. Former Dare.
Dare Ogunbowale. He played for Jacksonville last year.
Yeah. Well, he's been our special teams guy now. He got 5 catches for 50-something yards.
Yeah, why was he not the number 2 over Rex Burkhead when he's clearly better in every way?
I don't know. I think Rex Burkhead has secrets about Cal McNair on a laptop somewhere, and that's why he keeps getting playing time. I mean, the guy had both had 5 catches. How many yards do you think Rex Burkhead had?
I'm looking at it, so it's cheating. But
like 11?
It is 11. Yes.
Oh, that's hilarious! I did not see that beforehand. Right hand over my heart. That's
that's some Trent Richardson stats right there.
2.2 yards per.
That's terrible. It's terrible.
You know what's worse?
Has 5 catches and has 50 yards.
Yeah, I mean,
bro, what are we doing?
Lovie Smith is full of shit.
Yeah.
25 carries from your lead back. Yeah, sounds like a bunch of crap.
I fully contend that if Mills just throws an incomplete pass on that play, that they because prior to that the offense was moving up and down the field and scoring whenever they needed to, and after that is when all the momentum swung permanently. So, I don't know if that play doesn't, if he just throws it way overhead or something. Maybe they keep feeding the man. But regardless, we are terrible at stopping the run. We're never going to win a game unless we can stop the damn run. Never, except for the Jags, because for whatever reason we'll beat the Jags.
We have Brent Martinell posted a stat. I'm sorry to cut you off in the middle of the Texans thing.
Go.
In the past 2 weeks versus Houston the Giants, the Jacksonville Jaguars have 874 yards combined of offense and only 23 points to show for it. Kick the freaking field goal, please.
Oh, man. That's rough. Houston's only scored... I think they scored 20 points a couple times now. That's it. That's the peak of what they've scored.
Wait, Christian McCaffrey requests a trade from the 49ers? Is that a joke? That's a joke. No, that's a joke.
That's got to be
yeah, that's a joke. I was about to say, what? That just hit me. I'm sorry.
Because I didn't like it here. Let's go.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's really all I got. I mean, it's not like Mills was sacked one time today. It wasn't really that he was, he was under pressure, but it couldn't quite get to him. Like everybody was anticipating that Max Crosby and Chandler Jones would have a field day doing. But I'm pretty sure the injury list for this game was 6 or 7 starters that got hurt for Houston, all in the second half. predominantly, and I don't like how that bodes for the rest of the season. So I'm a little nervous, especially, let's see, next week, Tennessee comes to town. So we know they're going to feed the Derek. They have to feed him.
Yeah.
So
King Henry got to eat.
can we trade somebody for someone?
No.
Give me a defensive tackle, like,
Negative.
please.
No.
All right.
I already called my PR team. They said no, not gonna happen.
So what you guys got?
Well, I think the biggest thing that I'm looking at is their number one is Brandon Cooks. And I'm not only saying this because he's on my fantasy team. He's on the bench, so it's not even that big of a deal. But Cooks hasn't done shit like this entire season. And it's almost like Mills doesn't even look at him. So I'm not like, he had, I think, 4 catches in the game. And it's just, he's supposed to be one of your biggest playmakers. You're throwing the ball 41 times and he has 4 catches. Like, that to me is one of the biggest issues.
Yeah.
I mean, they're not having trouble running the football. I mean, Pierce has been a monster. It's just Cooks is your guy, and when you've got a receiver like Philip Dorsett, who's, you know, catching one of the 2 touchdowns, it's just Philip Dorsett was trash with Indianapolis. I think he flamed out in New England. It's like when
And
he's one of the ones.
Don't forget Jacksonville.
Oh yeah, but
Still bad.
Cook should be the one that's getting, 8 to 10 receptions a game, and it's just it hasn't happened all year.
Well, I mean, it's not for lack of trying. Davis Mills loves to target him. This was his lowest targets in a game this season. He caught 4 passes. He had 5 or 6 targets, something like that. Usually, he's got double-digit targets.
Should.
But Isaiah, you got anything?
I mean, I feel like Houston is a team where even when you're down, even say by a touchdown or 2, you still need to run the ball. Just because their biggest weapon on their offense right now is hands down Damian Pierce. He's hands down the biggest weapon. Whether it's he's one of those guys where he can, he's got big play threat. And that's kind of one thing that people underestimate about Damian Pierce is that, like, he's not a guy where, while yes, he's a big bruising running back, he didn't blaze it at the 40, he was no Snoop Dogg of the 40-yard dash, he wasn't blazing it. He ran well. He ran like what, a 4.54, 4.6, somewhere in that range.
I think it was like a 4.59 or 4.62.
Yeah, but I mean, he still has plays at Florida and at Houston, against the Chargers where he can go 50 plus, 60 plus yards. He's a bruising back. He should have more than 20 carries, even in a game when you're behind. It's kind of like Jacksonville. I mean, you have a guy there that can run the freaking ball. He's averaging 4.6 yards a carry. I mean, it's not as much as he's been averaging lately, but I mean, that's a touchdown every 2-3 carries.
A first down.
Run a touchdown. My bad. First down. Yes. Sorry. Hey, depending on the spot of the field. No, but
yeah.
I mean, run the ball. Just run.
Yeah.
He's got just I don't know how many times I can say it. We need a ticker on the show for how many times I say run the ball or run the damn something along that line. But like, Davis Mills should not be throwing 41 times a game with the receiving core that he has. Your number 1 wide receiver shouldn't be Jordan Akins, your tight end.
It's a new
Dare Ngombawale should not be your second highest. Like, I mean, yes, it just, why? You have these guys play to their strengths. I don't understand it. I get the Green went down, but run the ball.
And Titus Howard.
Howard went down too.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah.
I'm surprised Mills didn't get sacked like 20 times.
Well, he went down late, like on the same drive Green did.
Oh, okay. Wow. Ooh. Ugh.
Yeah. And then
Rough. Run the ball.
Petrie left the game early.
Ooh, Petrie did?
Yeah, I think he came back in.
Mm-hmm.
I know Kenyon Green tried to come back in for like another drive and then was just taken out. I'm trying to remember who else was hurt. Oh, Malik Collins, the starting defensive tackle, got hurt early in the game. First quarter, I believe. That's the only time that they were able to actually like slow down Josh Jacobs.
You guys need to like throw a third round pick at somebody for a D tackle. I mean, you'll
Yeah.
have nothing up the middle right now.
Literally Nathan.
Yeah.
All right, Jeff. So let's talk about the Colts-Titans game. Let you lead off.
All right. I'm going to start on the positive side. The defense has been really good. They didn't let up a single offensive touchdown. So I was really happy with how they played, especially with, I believe, both Kwity Paye and, of course, Shaquille Leonard was both out. And that's what the Colts are really missing right now is turnovers. I don't know how far down they are in the turnover differential, but it's not good. But their defense is a lot of bend, don't break, and they've played really well. But they just haven't gotten the turnovers that I think they need to kind of give their offense the jolt that they need. I mean, for the most part, I think they did pretty good containing as well as you can Derrick Henry. They limited him to a little over 4 yards a carry. They just gave him a ton of volume. He had, 30 carries?
Yeah, the only team in the South that just runs the damn ball.
Yeah. And they won.
4 times in a row.
Thank you.
Well, I didn't even mean that. I'm just talking like this season, but it's 5 times in a row against the Colts.
Yeah. And another kind of bad statistic is that this is now the 9th game in a row the Colts have not led at halftime. So 9 straight games they've fought from behind at halftime every single game, and it's becoming tiring to see it. Like just one game, you just want to see them get out to that lead and then just keep it. But 9 games, it just hasn't happened. They did a good job against Tannehill. I mean, he had 20 attempts, only 13 completions, like 130 yards, like pretty much a pedestrian day for a quarterback. They did really good with him, but they just gave the Titans short fields. They Matt Ryan threw that horrible pick 6, and I'm seeing it a lot more where he's just staring down receivers, not looking anybody off, and it's just telegraphing exactly what he's doing. It's just, I mean, he's like a 17-year veteran or something like that, and he's coming out playing like a rookie. Like you're not looking anyone off. The line wasn't as good as it was against Jacksonville, but I mean, it wasn't terrible either. They did a lot of good defensive schemes where they kind of brought like a safety blitz kind of thing and just really threw off, I guess, like protection that the Colts were trying to do offensively. But the biggest problem that I got, and I said in the last pod that they needed to come out like they did against Jacksonville and pass. Like they're going to stack the box. You got to dig a duck on them to back them up a little bit. And it worked. The problem is they didn't run the damn ball. But it was working. They didn't do it. Jonathan Taylor only had 10 carries, but he was averaging almost 6 yards per carry. And when you have Matt Ryan in the first half, who throws 2 interceptions, one of them's a pick 6, and you're only down 13 points at the half. It's not an excuse to abandon the run. If anything, it's what's working, and you should probably do it more. It's just, and at the end of the game, it was still just 2 possessions, a very winnable game throughout the entire thing, and they just didn't run the damn ball like they should have. But, I mean, the one lone bright spot, I'm happy for him. Campbell has spent most of his career on injury reserve, and this is his first healthy campaign, and it feels like he's finally coming around. He had 10 catches, 70 yards, and a touchdown. So I'm really happy to see him out there performing kind of getting what they thought they were going to get when they drafted him. It's just happy to see him have a healthy year.
Yeah. You got anything else?
Not at the moment, unless if I think of something.
Okay. All right. So I'm sitting in the south end zone watching the game, and most of the game actually, fortunately, was spent on that side of the field. So now, while I didn't get the fancy camera angles, I can tell you that I was watching the O-line and the D-line for both teams predominantly as like my main focus. The Titans' offensive line is not very good. It's patchwork at best right now. Their best player, who has not missed a start, is Ben Jones, the center. Everyone else has been suspect or missed games. They didn't have Nate Davis, Ferrer, Nicholas MPF.
Yes.
Whatever the hell his name is. He's been a pretty decent draft selection at right tackle, but he's still a rookie and he's making rookie mistakes. There were a couple early sacks by the Colts. One particularly, Kenny Moore's sack on the first, maybe, I think it was the first possession of the game. I thought that was going to be a trendsetter for the whole afternoon, and no, not necessarily what had happened at all. But then again, Ryan Tannehill only threw the ball 20 times. So
it's beautiful.
If you want to look at it in a certain kind of way, I'm pretty sure he got sacked twice.
Yep.
So threw 20 passes, got sacked twice. That's what, like a 7% sack rate or something?
And the one sack that Ngakoue had, it was kind of on that last drive at the end of the first half. It didn't really.
Yeah.
They were just seeing if they could get something out of it. So it wasn't really a game-changing sack either.
Yeah.
It was just, yeah.
Yeah. It's one of those where Houston had one of those too in their game right before halftime. They had just gotten the ball back off after a punt. Got like 25 seconds on the clock, 2 timeouts, and Davis Mills gets sacked on first down. So they just let the clock run out. Similar situation. The Titans defense played a very interesting style of bend but don't break. They were able to get after Matt Ryan. They were able to make him feel their presence, even though they weren't like gonna get there. He looked rattled. He looked like he wasn't sure about what he was gonna do. It looked like a couple of times he was thinking about taking off and running with it, and then just decided, I'm gonna try to just dart this in somewhere. And often it didn't really work out that well. Sometimes it looked like if he would have ran the damn ball, he probably would have had a first down. But
he runs like Bill Clinton, so that's iffy. Like,
I mean, you're right. That's probably, I don't know. But I did notice that the Titans just were not really like, okay, so the run, the almost 6 yards of carry that Jonathan Taylor was getting, that was, it didn't feel like it at any point. I think he had like one good run, and then a couple that were like 7 or 8 yards, and then everything else was like 3, 2, whatever. And then those things were happening in such situations that it basically just made the running game obsolete in execution, because the first half was a lot more successful than Jonathan Taylor. And I think you even said something about it. If they just would have continued that, maybe then something would have worked out better, but it didn't. And they kept trying to figure out what to do, and they just avoided running the ball altogether. And I didn't even notice that Danico Autry even had that big of a day, but he did. I guess I confused his number a couple times with Jeffrey Simmons, but who had a decent day himself. Honestly, I thought Matt Ryan could have probably exposed that defense a little better.
Yeah.
Those corners and that secondary is a little soft, but Hooker coming back off injury was big. He played a huge role today. Of course, Andrew Adams had the pick 6 early in the first half that was the only touchdown that the Titans scored all day. So again, the Titans defense came to play and did what they needed to do with Matty Ice.
Yeah. I mean, Matt Ryan, he was not even really efficient with the completions that he had. And again, he had another 44 attempts. I just in a game where it's that close, I just don't see a reason for it. Especially when it's like he threw for 243 yards on 33 completions. That's not even terribly effective. Like that's a lot of short passes.
Yeah.
And it's frustrating.
Yeah, he definitely didn't try to stretch the field very much. And that's something you would think that they would try to do. I think he threw maybe one or two deeper passes to Alex Pierce. I could be wrong, but I feel like I remember one. I know Ryan Tannehill threw it deep a couple times to like Cody Hollister or some shit. And I was like, why is this guy playing, bruh? Like, who in the why?
And I will say, like, and I know Blake would probably want to talk about it. That catch towards the end of the game that Hooper had was pretty. I was even sitting there going, like, there's no way I'm shouting at my phone, like, there's no way you completed this pass. And he did. I was like, what the hell was that?
Yeah, that was pretty cool to see in real time.
Yeah.
Yeah, the moment that Adams crossed the end zone, everybody's just erupting in that stadium. My God, if you ever have the opportunity, folks, out there in YouTube land, you should go to more NFL games. Specifically, if you're in the area, you should go to Tennessee games. They're a lot of fun. Or Jags games or Colts games. I've never been to a Jags game. I thought I had to be 65 to go, but
Duval. No, dude, you should have. So I was actually at the last year, kind of getting off track here, but about loud stadiums. I've never been in a louder stadium than last year. I was at the Cardinals Jacksonville game whenever Agnew ran back the 109-yard missed field goal. Yeah. Dude, insane.
I bet.
And like it's a Jacksonville game. It wasn't even sold out. It was so loud. it was crazy, dude. The energy was great. But yeah, NFL games, they're great. Go to them. College isn't better. Go to the NFL.
Yeah, especially right now with the Vols being 7-0, Tennessee Vols games would be pretty fun to go to. You got any closing comments on the Colts Titans game, Isaiah?
So I mean, Jeff took the words right out of my head. You can't 33 completions. You only have 243 yards. I mean, that's ridiculous. I mean, you know, it's a good completion percentage, but you completed 33 of 44 and you had a 31.4 QBR. I mean, really you completed 35 because 2 of them were picks, but realistically speaking, if you have 33 completions, you don't always have to have, 10 yards per catch, but if you threw it 33 times, you should have more than 1 completion for 20 yards and 2 completions for 14 and 1 for 11. I mean, there should be a lot more than that down the field. I was actually glad to see Paris Campbell get some catches and some touches there. It's been nice the past couple of weeks to see him get into it because he's been one where out of college I was pretty high on him and I thought he was going to be a great receiver. And just due to the injury bug and just not really getting the opportunities, he's kind of fallen by the wayside. But it's nice to see him getting in there. Pittman had another day where it was just a lot of short stuff to him. I mean, he can stretch the field not as much as some guys because they don't have the speed element, but I mean his route running gets him open, gets him where he needs to be. So I think they need to kind of use him a little more vertical there, kind of like they do with Cooper Kupp in the sense of Cooper Kupp's not the fastest guy in the field, but his route running gets him open at any point in the field and even on deep balls. I mean, Cooper Kupp catches 30+ yard touchdowns. I mean, it's something they can do with Pittman that they just need to get a little more aggressive with. They're playing way too conservative, throwing the ball that many times that short. They continue to get Pierce active, but I mean, 37 yards, one of them being a 20-yard catch. It's only 17 yards on the other 2. I mean, he's 6 foot, 6'4", 6'3". Ran a 4.31 at the combine. And he has a 42.5 inch vertical. I mean, why is he not getting, if he's getting short passes, why are they not in the red zone 50-50 balls? Because he can jump out of the gym and he's 6'4". I mean, no one's contesting that unless you have a 6'4" safety that can also have a 40-inch vertical. There's not a corner in the league right now that can jump that high and be as tall as him. I mean, you know, give him the ball. He's fast. You know, you got guys that can stretch the field, and they just played way too conservative. I mean, Nyheim Hines definitely got what he was pulled in for. I mean, he got a lot of catches. I mean, for a running back, 5 catches, 41 yards, 8.2. That's great. But I mean, again, the big thing here is, I mean, how many of those yards on these longer passes as well? How many of those were after the catch? None of them, or a lot of them?
Oh, after the catch, like all of them. They were all like.
So I mean, you know,
passes.
Yeah. So I mean, like, why
All
are
screens.
why are you throwing that much? I get it. Like, you want to dink and dunk them, but you have a running back who is widely considered one of the best running backs in the league, top 3, if not top 1, when you actually give him carries and have a competent O-line in front of him. Run the ball. You know, the Titans can, you know, one reason it's hard for me to hate the Titans, even though they beat the shit out of us every year.
Hashtag run the ball.
They run the ball. 20 passes out of, I mean, has Tannehill broken 1,000 yards yet at this point in the season? I'm genuinely curious. If he has,
I think he has more like 100+ yard passing games than Davis Mills does.
Like, he's got to be like at 1,100 at maximum, and I love it. Like, not from a sense of I don't want him to be successful throwing the ball, but like, when you have a dynamic running back who can change the game at any level, why are you having your quarterback throw 40+ times? There's no reason to do that, and that's why Tennessee continues to be successful, is because they play to their strengths when other teams like Jacksonville and Indianapolis, I mean, you know,
and Houston,
yeah.
They know what their identity is.
Yeah, that's what the problem is. Like, all these teams, we're trying to pass the ball, and like the AFC South is widely recognized as the running conference. Like, nobody comes into the AFC South and says, "Oh wow, we really got to watch out for Trevor Lawrence, Ryan Tannehill, Davis Mills, you know, Matt Ryan putting up 500 yards on us, throwing 5 touchdowns." That's the AFC North. You know, that's the AFC West. That's, well, besides Russell Wilson, but that's every other conference. You know,
he drags that way down.
Yeah, like, why are we not?
That's right.
Yeah, I mean, the whole conference this week. This is kind of a whole conference thing. Just run the ball. I mean, division rival, I don't care who it is. You have running backs that are averaging great stats. Run the ball, and you just figure out that that's your identity. I mean, 65 yards on the ground when you have a running back averaging 5.8 per carry, makes no sense whatsoever. And I will leave it at that. That's it. Just run the ball, please.
Hashtag run the ball.
Hashtag run the ball.
Let's get that trending worldwide. Hashtag run the ball.
Yeah. Hashtag Coach Michelli, run the ball, you know?
Run the damn ball.
I guess the other frustrating thing that I have is they've got Mo Alley Cox and Jelani Woods, like 2 huge tight ends, and one of them had 1 catch for 4 yards. Why aren't they utilized on third down? Like, I just don't understand what they're trying to do. Like,
Matt Ryan loves his tight ends. I don't understand it either.
Hear me out, though. Why would you throw to your 6'8" tight end Jelani Woods when you can throw to your 5'11" wide receiver? Like, you know, doesn't, you know, I'm just saying, like,
you gotta rinse that statement through the filter of Frank Reich.
Yeah, exactly.
And then it makes sense.
I mean, if you need 3, 4, 5 yards, like, just dunk it off your tight end, get the first down. Like, one reception between the 2 of them is retarded. I'm sorry, that's just, it doesn't make sense.
6'7", 253, Jelani Woods, and you're not giving him the ball more, especially in the red zone. Makes no sense.
No, it makes no sense.
All right. Well, that brings us to the end of the reaction. So now we're going to give out our AFC South Week 7 MVP, Mr. Andrew Adams of the Tennessee Titans, for his interception returned for a touchdown.
Andrew, if you're watching this, hit us up. Come on the show. We'd love to. I'll make an award for you. I'll do something. We'll do something. Just hit us up.
Yeah. If you out there in YouTube land know an Andrew Adams, if it's that one, then tell him to come on.
Yeah.
If it's not that one, then don't worry about it.
Just tell him to subscribe, like and subscribe. You know, if it's not him.
And by the way, still in the hunt for 1,000. Still got kids to feed. So hit the like button. Hit the subscribe button. If you know anybody who's a Titans Jaguars, Colts, or Texans fan, share it with them. We out here trying to talk to everybody. Hit the comment section, folks, and be good people. Isaiah, Jeff, thanks for coming on, boys.
Yes, sir.